Hello everyone and welcome back to another video of some F1 2021 game news. Now earlier today, Codemasters released their 7 My Team icons, and I've got to say, for me it's disappointing. I'll get into why it is disappointing in a little while as we go through each of the ones, but let's start then with the drivers that we've got. We've got Jenson Button, which, to be fair, I don't mind having Jenson there. He's always been, he could have won more than just the one championship. 2011 he did come close for McLaren if Vettel wasn't there, or Vettel really did dominate that year. And then also 2004 I think it was, where Jenson was also close to Schumacher, but didn't get any race wins. So without the Ferrari and the Red Bull of the two dominant journeys, Jenson could have been a 3-time world champion. But to be fair, he's a middle of the driver. He's a fan favourite and he'll please a certain big YouTuber as well. We can't quite say the same, however, about the next driver, David Coulthard. Now, I have a little bit of an issue with what they've done with the face scan here, because this is not David Coulthard. For starters, David Coulthard has blue eyes, if I remember rightly, from when he was many years ago. Not brown eyes. He has blue, if I remember rightly, and also they haven't quite got the gawping jaw that he has. So marks down for EA and Codemasters in getting the realistic. Interesting, I should point out with these stats, I should point out Jenson 90 rated, which is okay. Pace isn't that great, obviously. Experience, I mean, he's plenty of experience, and he'll be better in the race. If you're looking for a qualifier, don't go for Button. Same for Coulthard. I mean, Coulthard was dreadful anyway in qualifying, and only really came through in the races as well. But yes, I know some people obviously would like Coulthard, but for me, Coulthard was lower on the list for me than certain other people that could have been in the game. I should point out there's no focus stat on here as well, so we're still yet to see how the focus stat is going to work. Next up, Felipe Massa, 86 races. Again, pace is down. I can't quite remember. He didn't really get that many poles, if I remember rightly. He was more of a race winner, really. He'll be a cheaper driver for those of you wanting some. But again, like Coulthard, Massa is lower down because he didn't. I mean, Massa before and Massa after his injury are not the same Massa. Massa before his injury was a race-winning, championship-winning potential. Massa afterwards, sadly, was never the same again. And then, of course, we've got the first of the drivers who has already previously been in the game, Alain Prost, who still. I did hear that some people on Twitter weren't particularly saying it's not quite like him. It's there or thereabouts. They could do a little bit of work on him. I mean, he looks a little bit upset. I don't know if they've captured this after he lost to Senna, or whether it's just because he's seen Alpine's pace this season. I don't know. He will be a good qualifier. Prost was always a good qualifier. I mean, he's a 4-time world champion. Salaries are only $11 million as well. I'm surprised his experience is that low, considering the fact he was in F1 for absolutely ages as well. Next one, another disappointing one who wouldn't be on my list, Nico Rosberg. He'll be a better qualifier than Button, Coulthard and Massa, but obviously his race pace, because he gets trounced by Hamilton every time, apart from 2016 when Hamilton's car literally gave up on him. But yes, for me, I wouldn't I would not sign Rosberg, Coulthard or Massa, because they're not, these are supposed to be deluxe icons. You're paying extra for Nico Rosberg. It's just not there for me personally. And then of course we've got Michael Schumacher, as expected, was in F1 2020. I think they tweaked his likeness ever so slightly. Again, 98 experience, because he was in the sport, was almost as long as Rubens Barrichello, his long forgotten teammate. Racecraft as well, yeah, very good race pace. I was surprised his pace is that high, because Hamilton passed Michael Schumacher for the record poles a long time ago. Hamilton, is, like Senna, has always been the good qualifier, the Mr. Saturday man, and obviously then Hamilton's carried that forward to win on a Sunday as well. Schumacher was very much the opposite. He only has like, of his 91 wins, he only has like 68 poles or something like that. So yes, his racecraft I would expect to be a little bit higher and his pace a little bit lower for me, but still 94 rated, I'd put him a bit higher than that. Also 94 rated, Ayrton Senna, the final of our 7 deluxe drivers. Experience is down, I guess that's compared to the others, but if you think about it, if this is prime Senna, which bearing in mind he was pretty much in his prime when his life was tragically taken from us, 94 pace, I don't know why, he should be much more than that. Awareness a little too high maybe. Racecraft 97, I got no problem with that. Considering the fact he took in 1984, most promisingly, as they said on the EA website, he took that Tolman, which had the combined sachet to weight ratio of a barge, and he took that at Monaco in a wet race. By the way, that wet race, it was so wet that they had to put water in the tunnel, because otherwise the tyres would have cooled down so much. They would have lost span in the tunnel. Experience is down because he only managed 10 years, but I'd expect a little bit more than 79 personally, considering the fact that some of the F1 drivers who've been in Formula 1 less than Senna haven't got that much experience, so have got more experience rating, or that's based on last year's ratings. We'll see how this year's ratings have to get. But yes, for me, very disappointing, because obviously, as I said in one of the previous F1 2021 game videos, I expected Senna, Prost and Schumacher to be there, because they've already been in the game before, they've already got the helmets, they've already got the licensing for them. So 3 of those 7, the other 4, very disappointing. For me, I mean, there's no Nigel Mansell. Mansell is a far better driver than Coulthard ever was. So for me, he would have to be one of them. Another person not mentioned, Nelson Piquet, always quiet, the underrated the other Brazilian driver as well, not here as well. If you wanted somebody who would be a number 2 driver, Rubens Barrichello, obviously long suffering to Michael Schumacher when he was had that period of domination. And there are so many other drivers from the early series, Jackie Stewart for example. And of course, I'm also the most cross about, we don't have 5-time world champion Juan Manuel Fangio. The man has the highest win percentage ratio. So I think he won almost half the races he entered in F1, and that was back in the 50s when they had 6 races a season. I mean, imagine him now, he'd be more dominant than Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton were. So yes, I'm a bit peeved off about that, because obviously there's a chance to get Fangio in the car, and also to show how good of a driver he is, to put him up against Lewis Hamilton in your car would have been, for me, that would have been great. So yes, some other F1 2020 game news, 2021 game news, or rather rumours. As I said, there has not been anything. Literally, for the past month, it has been silent from Codemasters. This isn't even from Codemasters, because Codemasters, I checked the Codemasters website, and there's no mention of in their news section at all of these icons. So EA are definitely taking over promotion of the game. So expect, I don't know, because we see EA tend to, if we remember rightly, with FIFA. And again, I'm linking FIFA a lot here because obviously we got the focus stat, which I think is a FIFA related thing, and I think it's going to work like in FIFA, where you get that little diamond come up. Don't be surprised if it is actually a diamond that appears on the stats, by the way. But yes, I think that we're going to see less over the years. I don't think we're going to hear a lot about Racing Point. I think there might, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, EA, the one good thing EA do is they have an open beta every year. Now, whether or not that's just like a couple of clubs and 3 tracks, but for smaller YouTubers like myself, having the open beta and able to showcase that footage would be a huge thing for us. A bit like what FIFA does. I don't know if Codemasters are ever going to put a stop to that. We'll have to wait and see for that. Obviously, they've got the closed beta sign up, which I think EA does for its own games at certain points anyway. So we'll see if whether or not here. But anyway, we've got some. First of all, a bit of speculation about Racing Point. Sorry, Breaking Point, I should say, not Racing Point. I forgot. It's been that long that I've forgotten what the new game mode's called. Anyway, this is from a website. I'm going to quote here. We know that you'll be starting your journey in Formula 2, just like we did in F1 2019 when we met Butler and Lucas Weber, who's not in the new game for the first time. From the quality voiceover, it sounds like we'll be clashing with Ackerman on track and developing a bitter rivalry in the junior ranks, potentially one that sees us on the outs. Now, this suggests that rather than playing as a particular character, that this article thinks that we will be creating our own character. I personally disagree, but I personally disagree with that. I think we'll be racing as somebody else. I don't think we're racing as ourselves, but we'll only time will tell. He tried to stop them from signing you, says Butler, implying he won't be our main antagonist for the year. I thought about that maybe, but then of course Devon, it could just be a sly thing from Devon, and so still could be surprising that if he is the main antagonist, we'll have to wait and see, or if he's going to be our new best friend, or if he's going to if he's going to befriend us. There could be a twist in the plot there. We'll have to wait and see. Aiden Jackson could well be a fictional team owner. So there's a link to my team here, potentially, in the form of using the FOM car, and that's what you race in. One who is backing Ackerman to the hilt, and trying to prevent you from rising to the top. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But if that is true, then that's going to be a little bit iffy, because obviously that means we're going to have to put up with we don't have the control over the design of the might of that livery. Now, whether or not they're just designing one special livery, or whether they're just going to get a random livery generator for Breaking Point, we'll have to wait and see. As I said, this article is a couple of weeks old, and they said we should another more detailed trailer, some gameplay and extra info. They said, oh yes, we'll have the next couple of weeks. It's been a whole month, Codemasters. And also, just to confirm, this one is confirmed, sprint races won't be in F1 2021. I couldn't find this Jallo Picnic. I butchered that name, I apologise. But Codemasters basically confirmed that sprint races aren't available in F1 2021, which isn't surprising because I would have loved to have seen, as I said, we need to revamp Grand Prix mode. Love to have seen like sprint races, reverse grids, eliminations, and I'll also apply these qualifying formats to multiplayer races. Imagine having elimination qualifying or sprint races in, well, obviously you probably have more sprint races in league races, potentially. But yes, let me know what you think about the My Team icons, and of course anything else to do with F1 2021 down in the comments below. If you're new around here, then please do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. And until the next video, I think it's time. Take care, as much as watching, enjoy your day, and goodbye.